some vocabulary out there, first of all. Because the systems of equations that we're dealing with are linear equations. If you were to graph them, then you'd come up with straight lines. It's possible that those two straight lines might intersect in one common point. That would be the one solution to the system. And that means that vocabulary-wise, if you see a help me solve this, or you see an error that you make, they may refer to that system as being a consistent system. It's consistent with what we expect. There's going to be an answer. Or we may say that the equations are independent, that the first one has nothing to do with the second one. One is not controlled by the other. From a graphic standpoint, it's also quite possible that the two lines that we draw up there, that we graph up there, might be parallel lines. And if they're parallel lines, they're never going to intersect. So there's never going to be a solution to them, and therefore the system is called inconsistent. We didn't get what we expected. It's possible that the two lines you put up might be the exact same line, described two different ways, in which case everything that satisfied the first equation also satisfies the second equation, so you come up with an infinite number of solutions to the problem. That's still a consistent system because you came up with an answer, but the two equations are now dependent upon one another because they're exactly the same equation. So if you see those words, don't freak out about them. I don't think there's any questions anywhere along the line, but we can't control what the feedback is, and we can't control what goes on to help me solve this unless we just shut it off completely. So if you see those, don't freak out about them. So how am I going to be expected to go about solving a system? Well, there's 4 ways you can actually solve systems, 4 viable ways. The 5th way is not a good choice. The 5th way is to wait until your neighbor does the problem and copy their problem, which I've seen happen on some of the papers I got back because I had people that I had at least in one class, and yes, it was in this class, I had at least 4 people that had exactly the same stupid wrong answers with exactly the same stupid wrong mistakes. And probability of that happening, not very good. So somebody did the work, or you shared a brain and your brains all malfunction at the same time. That's not a good thing, okay? So having somebody else do the work for you and trusting them isn't working for some of you, so we need to be a little bit more careful. We can solve by graphing, but solving a system by graphing is not real reliable because although most of the solutions that we get for our problems, because we want this to be a nice set of exercises, are going to be nice whole numbers, you can't promise that all the time. And if you put them on a graph and they intersect at a point that's not right on one of the grids or not right at a corner point, then it's going to be a fractional value and you're going to be guessing. If you're going to be guessing, you might as well start guessing from the very beginning. But 2 or 3 of the exercises have you solve a system by graphing because it is used farther down the line, but the gold standard of being able to solve systems is to be able to do it by hand. So 2 options by hand. One method is called substitution. One method is called elimination. The first question on the test that we see, on test 4, is going to say, here is a system of equations, solve it by hand. They will not dictate which method that you must use. You will get to choose whether you want to solve it by substitution or whether you want to solve it by elimination. So we hope that in the homework exercise where it says solve using this technique or solve using that technique, that you get comfortable with the benefits and the pitfalls of both of them so that you can make an intelligent decision. But on the test, we will not mandate that you use any particular technique. We will just mandate that you show us how you did it. Okay? Now, eventually, we get to the calculator side of things, which is an augmented matrix, which is something we haven't even learned about in the calculator yet. Some of us have never seen a matrix, so we wouldn't have any idea what it is. So that's going to be all new, fresh material. But solving systems by hand and graphing, some of us have some backgrounds with. Okay, so let's look at what kind of exercises we might see. The author expects you have a little